Ciao Pietro.
Hey, what's up, Romain?
How you writing the theme song for Builders Unscripted?
Maybe, yeah, like maybe we call it like tokens or something. I need more.
Let's hear it.
Tokens. Oh, I need more.
That sounds like a great idea.
We'll save that for later. Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited about this one. You're a man of many talents.
Thank you.
You're a musician, as we can tell. You're also an engineer, a designer, founder, I would say AI whisperer, early testers of our models.
Yep.
So I'm super excited to chat. But to get started, I'd love to hear, like, how does your brain work? How do you have so much creativity across all of these different fields?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. I feel like, you and I have been talking for a while, so this is amazing to just be here and have this chat. So for me, I feel like, there's this quote that I love, which is like, we're born too late for the sea, but too early for the stars. And with AI right now, I feel like there's this new field that you can explore, like the latent space, right? It's like you can get into the mind of this incredible new technology and start to explore, almost like, truly like an explorer back in the days, like a Magellan or a Marco Polo, and just trying to figure out, what are the things I can do with this technology. And I think that to me, it's like really exciting.
Love that quote. That's super cool. I mean, we've seen your work from afar, like for a long, long time, and then like you've been one of our early testers, kind of like having access to these models, because you always have like an interesting lens. Like you're poking at these models to find the little edges and like what can they do that the previous one could not do. Yes. What was your first impression of like GPT 5.5, for instance?
Well, it was a big step change. I feel like there was a lot of the things that were very hard to do in the past that now out of a sudden it just work. It's just like showed like complete sort of like wave that just shocked me when I first started interacting with the model in the beta testing. It's things like, like I have all this set of evils personal evils that I have every time a new model comes out. And those are things from, agentic behaviors, like understanding like how can I run multiple tools at the same time, or multimodal capabilities.
Yep.
And I give you an example. In the case of GPT Vision, at the time, in order for the model to understand where to look at, I have to provide the image in this like with an overlay grid on top of like squares, so the model will know, oh, the button is in this square and whatnot. And now you don't have to do that, right? Like 5.5, it's so good at vision capability, you can just reasoning around where to click, where to look, and like stuff like that, right? But ultimately, what I really care is like what kind of capabilities those models have that my people may miss, right? And so those are things around creativity and fun, like how good the model is at acting like as a designer, or how good is the model acting as a creative director to direct other design agents and models, right? And actually, there's a really funny demo that the first thing I built with 5.5 was like, what if I could create something where 5.5 takes an image and deconstruct the image in a sound that it's harmonic based on the picture, and then I can use this sound to reconstruct the image, almost sort of like a secret communication game language, so that two people can communicate with sound in this like secret way. And I was like, there's no way it's gonna get this right, because it's like a very complex, there's like cryptography involved, there's like how good the music needs to be, how are you comparing like the sort of like the base 64 of the image to sound, and I was like, there's no way it's gonna get it right. And then I did it, and it just worked.
Damn.
And it was crazy.
Why don't we take a look at your laptop and you show me a little bit what you've been building with these new models?
Yes. So the first thing that I built with 5.5, so going back to this idea of like, how can we poke the model for creativity and sort of like, fun ideas, like out of the ordinary ideas. So what I did, I basically built this app, right? And so what this app can do, it's pretty crazy. So it can convert an image into a sound, and then from a sound back to an image. Almost sort of like a secret communication way between different people. And so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna take the OpenAI logo here. So I'm gonna pop it right here. And then I'm gonna ask to create a sound. And Codex plus 5.5 was basically able to do this like in one shot. And I was like mind blown, because like there's so much going on here. There is cryptography going on. There is like understanding, what does it even mean to make a beautiful sound.
Wow.
And there's this movie, I think it's called Contact from the Third Kind. It's like an old Steven Spielberg movie in the 1980s. And there is at the very end of the movie, I don't know if you remember this, the scientists are communicating with the aliens.
Yes.
And the way the aliens communicated is actually very similar to this, which I was kind of impressed.
And
I was like, oh, this
it sounds really good.
It sounds really good, right? And so what I can do now, I can download this sound, and then I'm gonna pretend now that I sent the URL access to this app on your computer, right? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the sound, drag it back here, and I'm gonna ask to recover the image. Boom. And now I have the image there. So we convert, basically like an image to sound and from sound back. right?
How is that possible?
I know, right? It's like that's the kind of so for me, like this is what's important when you think about AI. It's like, what can I do, right? Like no idea is too crazy, right? I think there's an element of just your imagination. Like, imagination shouldn't be like your constraint. Just feel free. And also I think there is an element where, as the models gets better, you really need to start thinking about what are the things I can do if I wasn't afraid in a way, right? Because I think like as human, we always have this sort of like walls a little bit. It's like, oh, can this be done? Can this be, but just try it. And like now, 5.5 is so good that it gets those things right. And
that's really awesome because like you have like your musician background that can help you like have these ideas. This is so cool. And you're talking about evals too. Like I'm curious, like so when a new model comes your way, like GPT Image 2 or GPT 5.5, like what's your process to poke at a new model and kind of like find what it's good at?
Yes. So I basically look for 3 different things. One is instruction following. So it's like, how good is the model at following this instruction? And you might be surprised, actually, sometimes a modern model doesn't necessarily mean it's better at instruction following because they might get maybe like a little more secured or whatever, right? And so what I love about the GPT-5 series is like how consistent has been in just being helpful, basically, just being a helpful assistant, right? So there's like the instruction following part. Then there is like, how was the task executed? Like, is it actually being able to do what I ask? And then there's an element of like, how good is the model at actually directing other agent? Because that's actually a very complex task, right? Like if I say to Codex, like, actually, this is really fun. So I have all this set of shortcuts that I use with Codex, right? And so for example, if I say spawn, it does this, right? So I have all this like text replacement that I have for myself. So because, Codex can run multi-agents. And the reason why I have shortcuts is because by now I know what are the things that I want the model to be good at. And then I see how the model performs, right?
Interesting.
So for example, I have this one. When I say agent, I say, hey, remember you're an agent. And you have to like complete the goal. Until you complete the goal, don't stop, right? And one thing about 5.5 is really good at that, which now you guys launched the goal.
With the /goal command,
exactly.
yes.
So I was doing this before goal, right? And so this is another thing. It's like one, I think, of the most important lever that we've seen as the model get better is how long of a task they can do.
Yeah.
And I actually believe like the true unlock and distribution of wealth for everybody is going to be when the model are just going to be able to just basically run for hours, right? Which Codex is already capable of, right? But in order to do that, you kind of have to nudge it a little bit, right? And so that's something that I look for when a new model comes out.
Yeah. What about subagents?
Subagent, I have spawn. So I say spawn, and it spawn multiple agent. I have things like I have like PR. So this is actually something I do a lot. So it's like, push this PR based on this repository. Or another thing actually that Codex does extremely well is debug. So every
That's
time,
cool.
Yeah. So every time like a session ends, I basically say like, okay, review all the code that we've done. Is there any potential bug, regression, edge cases, all this kind of stuff, right? And so by now I know when the model performs well on this task, like, instruction following, multi-agent capability. And then there's an entire element of multimodality, right? It's like, okay, like how good are you at taking this image and converting to code, right? And 4.5 is actually amazing. In fact, I think like a really fun flow that I recommend people to do with 5.5 is like, generating an image and then asking to make something around that, which is, it does really well.
Yeah, that's why we build the Build Web Apps plugin, where we package up in one plugin the idea of like using GPT Image 2 to generate a design,
So cool.
and then get 5.5 to implement that design, because usually it's pretty flawless to take a design in and like actually implement it out.
And I feel like those stuff truly weren't possible, like, even like 4 or 5 months ago, right? And like, they were in some category, but they're just better now.
What about beyond games and pixel art? Like you're a designer, you designed icons in the past. Like how do you look at icon design, for instance, now?
So I built this app, which I'll show you in a second. It's really cool. It's an autocomplete writing tool. And I call it Odysseo. And Odysseo is basically the protagonist of like, the Odyssey and Ulysses. And the reason why I call it like that is because you're writing with AI in this app, you're kind of in this like infinite sea of possibility and writing that you can do.
I like that.
And so I asked Codex, I was like, can you give me an app icon that has a Greek ship and a quill? And he just did this.
This is incredible.
And in one shot, right? And then he added in the DMG. And so now, like my app, it's right here.
I mean, the Pietro of like 15 years ago, how many hours would you have spent trying to design this?
Oh, don't even let me start. This was like Photoshop, multiple layer. I can even tell you, there is like a gradient effect applied here. There is like a border with gradient applied. There's all this like texture. Like, I mean, it's actually insane.
It would be like many hours.
Yeah, it would be like to get it to this level, it would be like hours of work. Yeah.
And you just one-shotted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. But yeah, so maybe we can take a look at this app. I'm curious to hear more about it because you also play with like multimodal models, right? And we just launched like new real-time audio models in the API, and it sounds like it's also something you try to poke at already.
Yeah, so like I think the theme that I always go back to it is this idea of human to AI mind connection, right? It's like, what can I do so that this tool like Codex or certain AI model becomes basically just like sort of like an extension of my mind, right? And you'd be surprised. Like, I feel like we as human, we're an incredible input machine, right? Like with the vision, the sound, the smell, all those things, but we kind of suck at output, right? And so I was like, okay, what if I can make an app where as I write, it complete what could be the next text, and then I can also talk to it. So in this case, we're saying, today I'm going to the OpenAI office to record a new episode of Building a Script with Romain, and I'm thinking about demoing, and then I can just press stop, and now a GPT model is generating,
That's pretty cool.
like, okay, this is the last interaction of my agentic workflow, and like, what if I say, like, oh, maybe I want to add something in the middle, right? So I can go here, and it's gonna autocomplete that sentence right there. But then I was like, well, what if I do this like mind extension thing, right? So I can like start GPT real time, the new version, and now I can just talk, right? I can talk right here, and you can see in real time is basically writing what I'm saying, which is pretty insane. And then I can stop it, right? And then I can like autocomplete whatever I say, right?
That's pretty.
Oh, even impressive, almost like having a second brain capture every straight in real time. That's kind of crazy because
really, that's how we've gone making these interfaces feel like a natural extension of your own internal
That's
model.
insane.
That's what you wanted to say.
That's insane. Like that's what we're talking about. That's
wild.
awesome. That's awesome.
I love also how like you kind of bring these modalities together, right? Not just like, well, obviously I'm a writer, I'm typing, but also I can just like talk to the computer, capture that in real time, and then finish my thought in writing. This interplay is pretty magical.
Yeah, and honestly, the UI that you build is pretty nice. Like there's like a dark mode. There is like all these commands. Like if I want to like I don't know, like bold this, I can just Command B. I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? Like and it's just literally just talking to the model. Just talk to the model, and I think this is a perfect example of like what is the app of your dream, right? That you had you left in the drawer of your mind, and you never built because you were busy or you thought you couldn't done it, like all these things, right? And I feel like now basically everybody can do this. And like the analogy that I have with Codex, I was thinking about the other day, was like it's like in the past, not a lot of people were great painters, right? But everybody can take a photo. Great, not everybody's a great photographer, but everybody can take a photo. And to me, this is like the taking a photo of coding, right? It's just a snapshot of an idea that I had, and now it's in this new sort of basically medium/material that coding is becoming. I feel like coding now is becoming this very malleable, clay-like type of thing.
Yeah, you can just build things.
You can just build things. Yeah,
exactly. That's pretty awesome. Thanks for sharing me like all of these projects. Really cool to see your creativity. In fact, I'm curious, like you're playing with so many modalities from image gen to like these voice and real-time models to the frontier of 5.5. Like when a new OpenAI model drops and you get early access, like how do you go about that? Like what's your process or your ritual to go about like poking at those models?
Yes, I love that question because it's something that I basically think about all the time. Like sometimes I don't sleep because I think what are the things I can do? There's almost like this like a quote unquote building anxiety that I have because I just want to make sure I have time to do all those ideas. But what's interesting, it's almost like the models are getting so good at coding software and just computer software that it feels like they're most saturated in a way. And so I'm always like, what can I do that I haven't tried? And is there something that it's really cool that maybe an idea that I had that I couldn't do it before because I tried in the past and it just didn't work out. And an interesting side effect of 5.5 is that I basically surround myself with all these old gadgets that I had in my drawers for years. And I don't speak the language of these devices. Like, I don't know what they're coded on. Like, this might be coded in C, this might be coded in some proprietary language and whatnot, right? And so I was like, would it be cool if Codex in 5.5 could understand the nature of these devices and then building out for it? So
that's really cool. I love the idea of you, like, on one hand, poking at the very frontier of AI, but on the other hand, coming back to these like old devices and see what you can potentially do with them.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like almost a way to revive this obsolete tech. Right? There's almost an element of like almost environmental element that comes from, oh, now I have all those things that, they're in my drawer, they're broken and I don't know what to do with it. I can just repurpose of something else, which I think is really interesting.
Is that what kind of pulls you back to them? It's like, well, I have these drawers of like old devices. Sure enough, at some point I can do something creative with them.
Exactly. It's like I can do something that I could maybe use it for my work or, to have fun or whatnot, right?
So tell me about this one. What is it?
Yeah, so this is basically just like it's a device to do like security control on like, so it's kind of like a working device if you want to actually to think about it. And I was like, wouldn't it be fun to make a game for this? But then I was like, if I was making a game for this, it's kind of like weird. Like there's like this screen is weird. Like I don't know how to play. But then I was like, but if I play it this way, maybe it's more interesting. And so I asked Codex to basically understand this firmware. It did that. And then.
So did you just like plug the device to Codex?
I plugged the device to Codex.
And you say like.
Read the USB.
Okay.
I was like, read the USB, like, what is it? And he was like, this device is connected. And it's like, is this device, this is the serial number, whatever. And he was like, oh, I can actually do something on this. And I was like,
insane.
no way. So he built this sort of like doodle jump
no way.
clone, which is really funny, right? And it's like, but what's even interesting about this, I read their API and doc, there is no mentioning of being able to do this sort of vertical work or like vertical scrolling of the screen. But Codex just figured that out, which is really crazy. And so now I have this like basically endless game, very similar to like Doodle Jump, like early iOS game, right? Which is honestly, I think it's crazy, right? And then I was like,
the screen is pretty good to play, actually.
No, it's fun.
Surprisingly,
yeah, you should try. It's pretty fun to play. Yeah, you just move around and the controllers move. and the other interesting thing that I after I read what Codex was doing, this little analog button actually has like different sensibility if you long press and if you like short press. And Codex just like figured it out to make sure that the experience was this smooth.
Oh yeah, it even nailed the double jump.
Yeah,
like
double jump.
If I press
if you want to like double jump, if you're like too far, you can double jump. And that was truly one prompt.
Incredible.
And when I saw it, I was like, there's no way.
I have never seen this device before.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I was like, well, this is all fun, right? Whatever. But what if I could use this for work? Like, what is the interesting thing I could do for work? And so I think like a team of like today conversation has been like this connection mind AI, right? And what can we do with those models? Like, what are the things we can do? So you can see here, basically, Codex built an app so that it could connect itself. And so like I was like, okay, what can I do that's like useful for work? So Codex built this control where if I send a text here, it basically vibrates when it's done. So of course you can really hear it, but it's vibrating.
I feel it,
right?
Yeah.
And he showed me the message, right?
Title.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now it's no message because we talk more. I was like, I keep saying like hello, and so I can see the text. And it's vibrating, right?
That's cool.
And the reason why I did this is gonna sound so nerdy, right? But I have long session with Codex, and sometimes I feel like Codex can be very unsupervised now. I trust it. Like I know it's gonna run for 20, 30 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever the task is. And then when I come back, it's done. But there's always this element of like, oh, what if it goes stuck or whatever, right? And so now what I do, I'm like, I go grab a coffee in my office and I hear like, I leave a little vibration, I know Codex
on
is
your
done.
desk, you can actually step away from your desk and you know when Codex is done.
I know it's done. And this is like a really interesting way to like use a device that, I never used. It's almost like a remote control, basically.
Fascinating. We talked a lot about like your, skill set as an engineer, a creator, a designer. I'd love to talk a little bit about like you as a founder.
Yes.
So you're building MagicPath.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
So MagicPath is basically an infinite canvas for agent and human to design and build together. So we built sort of this like common workspace where you can access from everywhere. So you can have like, you can have Codex running in any device on your phone or whatever, and you can just like design in MagicPath. Because what I really think it's happening right now, you have everybody's gonna have their own agent in some extent. Like you have your agent that has all the information that you like, all the context that you like. I have the one that I like in the context. And so the idea is like, how can we become the reference tool for the product teams, right? Because right now there's like a big issue where you have, the PM is trying to be the designer should be the engineer should be the, and it's awesome because AI is basically collapsing all those roles because AI is becoming this sort of like translation layer in a way.
It's also an equalizer.
It's an equalizer, exactly. But because of that, people tend to stay in all different kinds of tools. Like, some people might access 5.5 in Codex, some people might access in ChatGPT, some people might access somewhere else. And so we're trying to be the place. And so what's actually really cool, Codex can build in MagicPath. So it's just a canvas for Codex to explore and design and stuff like that. And so, and it's we launched like a year ago actually. So this is almost like our year anniversary, and it's awesome. We have like hundreds of thousands of customers, and Codex in particular 5.5 has been like a huge help for us because we're about to launch the 2.0 version of the application, and truthfully, we wouldn't be able to get where we are right now if we didn't have 5.5. I can tell you that, and I'm not even trying to over say things. It's just the reality. Because we're a small team. We're like, our product team, we're like 6 people. And so, we move really fast because you have to move really fast in this age of AI. But having Codex access to all my employees becomes sort of like a forcing function where now I have access to 100 developers or 200 developers and like stuff like that, right? Or maybe I have access to 5 new developers that are like really, really good developers.
Right.
And so that has been like a huge help. But I would say a funny anecdote is that as a founder, there's so many things that I need to do, right? I need to raise money. I need to like talk to my clients. I need to make sure like my employees are happy, all this stuff. And now that the AI is so good and 5.5 is so good, there's almost an element of like, oh my God, I want to push so many things in the app. Like I've been like my PR request has been going up like, I don't know, like a tenfold because of 5.5. And so like there's an element of like, as a founder, it's also important to kind of like, say, okay, I know you can build anything you want right now, but you also have these incredible people that you hire. Right. And so, you can trust, right? Yeah. And so there's this sort of like inner battle between me as a founder, as a person that just want to build stuff.
You just want to build,
but I have to do all those other things which are as equally important or more important in some sense. And so it's been an amazing experience. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. How has Codex changed the way you work personally? Like, are you just spending way more time talking to Codex now?
I talk to Codex so much that my girlfriend was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're always with this like app open."
Who are you talking to?
It's like, who is she? No, maybe that's not kind of. But she was like, she's always like asked me like, "Why are you talking this?" Because I'm always talking to Codex, right? And actually the reason why I do that, this might be surprising, but I don't use Codex just for coding. Like I use it to like organize the files on my computer, or like I have this like music library from like years ago. I like it fix all the covers, the metadata, all of those things. Or I've write the notes. So actually, I've write the notes for today. Things like I want to like talk to you. I ask Codex like, hey, I have like this is kind of stuff I want to talk about. Write into Apple Notes, and he just did that, right? Because he has access to all my local system, all my local file. And so I think like an interesting thing that now I'm telling my friends is to actually use Codex not as just like this coding assistant, but like as an everyday everything assistant, right? And especially it's super helpful for me because, because Codex can now generate designs in MagicPath, I have all my MCP connected to Codex, like, my mix panel for like how my company's doing, Stripe, like all those things. I can just pull up all this data in Codex, and then I can make just like beautiful dashboard design for my investors. Like that's sort of like one-to-one, from idea, information, context to generalization. It's like so powerful, and just Codex is like and then I use past hours, so I don't know how much money I'm spending. You guys probably give me some credits, but yeah, it's incredible.
That's great to hear. I mean, we see that at OpenAI too. Like virtually everyone at OpenAI is now using Codex, no matter which team they're on, from like legal to finance to HR. It's not just the engineers, and that's why we also made the onboarding easier, because we are noticing that outside of OpenAI too, like people like yourself who are just leveraging Codex for anything. And now that we have like all of these plugins, but also the ability, as you said, to kind of drive the browser, drive the computer, any task can be completed by Codex.
Exactly, anything you want.
Yeah. Well, with all that speed that you have now with your team, like how are you thinking about like the customers, and what does that unlock for you guys? Like, people talk a lot about vibe coding, but it feels like we're far beyond that point now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because of the velocity, we're able to get our product into, customer hands way quicker. Like, I feel like the power of having your customer, like, just giving you feedback right away, it's like, it's just, you can compare that to how product used to be built before. Like, I worked on lots of big tech company in the past, and I feel like that process will take months. Like, you get like the user feedback acquisition, you get all this information, you have to spend, months building the thing, and then you might not even know if the thing that you were building is the right thing to do, right? Because as you know, like as you build things, there's always like some other direction you can go. And so now, because, we can literally spawn a feature in a day, we have like a beta tester group at MagicPath. And so I can basically just like say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And they get back to me, this is great, this is not, boom, bam, done, right? And so it's something that is just you couldn't achieve before.
Like having that
feedback loop
that's much faster.
And so it's not only just the model acting like potential customer, but it's also like the model enable you to go to your customer much quicker, which is really nice.
That's great. One thing that we talked about the last time we spoke together was how we're moving to a world of like supervision.
Yes.
I'd love to hear you speak more about this.
Yeah, so I believe in this so much that I built my company around it. So if I'm wrong, I'm screwed. But Conviction. But the idea is like, I believe that as we go into the future of work, it's going to be less about doing the thing, but more about directing the thing, right? I really believe in this world of decentralized agents that you can access from everywhere. So for example, as I was saying, in MagicPath, I can be on my phone on OpenClaw, and I say like, I'm in my bed, I have an idea, 2 a.m. in the morning. I was like, hey, can we just change that using, this context from this PRD? Because I had this idea. The agent goes, makes the thing, comes back, send me a link, I see it. And I'm like, great, no, feedback, right? I don't even have to be at my desk anymore. And to me, there is something very quote unquote romantic and like very sort of like hopeful about that, which is like, I think as a human, right, the only thing that we have that it's in common, it's time, right? Yeah. And so I feel like AI is really, to me, it's like this revenge of human against time. Like it's like, oh, we knew that it will take us 6 months to build this product. Now it take us, 2 weeks. And that's a huge saving in time that you can spend with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, right? And so there is an element of like really tremendous optimism that comes to me when I think about those tools, because it has enabled me to, I worked a ton because I'm a founder, but like I can also just like go and see my friend because I know that, I have an agent running is doing the work that I should do.
Well, that's awesome. If there's like one thing that you'd like to leave people with, maybe like one feeling you'd like them to have, what would that be?
For me, it will be this like incredible feeling of euphoria that comes from knowing that I can just do whatever I want now and just build anything I want.
That's awesome. And very much like this idea for us, like going back to OpenAI's mission, that like we want to build tools for all builders and for everyone really. And now everyone is a builder.
Yeah, I think like, the one amazing thing you guys have been able to do, especially with this new model, is really like democratizing something that was so unknown and foreigner to a lot of people to now something that everybody can use, right? Like the cool thing is like, I grew up in Italy, right? I was a kid in Italy, and I feel like growing up there, I didn't have the same sort of like, possibility that somebody could be in the US, but now I feel like because everybody get access to like incredible intelligence, we all equalize in a way, which I think is really beautiful. And thank you guys for doing that, to provide all that compute to the world.
Well, thank you so much, Pietro, for all your work. We love having you in the community. We love having your eyes and your taste and your creativity on the models before we are able to ship them.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And we can't wait to see what you're going to build next with MagicPath and all of the crazy ideas and all devices you're hacking with. And I hope this inspires people to, build great things.
Cool. Same. Thank you so much.
Grazie mille.
Grazie a te.